Day two, the wind was from there yesterday, and the wind is from over here today, a passing front. Got less than a minute to go in the San Diego Area Championship. Most of the boats, even though the pin's favored by a fraction, I think, most of the boats are pushing towards this end because usually the right side of the course is way less risky. We got Zach, and I'm worried he's way back here. Yeah. Day two, race one on day two. Race 5 for the regatta, Zach 6526. The line sight is that person right there. See that person? That's the line sight. She's standing up, or he, I don't know, I'm not sure. Anyway, somebody is standing up over there. And that's your line sight. Where did Zach go? Oh, there he is. Oh, one boat's gonna get called there. 3996. Race 1 on Sunday. Third attempt to get a start off. Again, using the I flag. You can tell that they moved the committee boat end back because the line person has to sit on the bow now. They were at the console. That was the old line sight, but this person is the line sight. He kind of asked them to just start nicer before this race, and they actually did it. So it's an unbelievably healthy sport. These kids are already seasoned at age 13, 14, 15, 16.
Thanks for everybody's patience. Great to get a nice start off.
Where's our boy here? Oh, not a great start right there. That's okay. Our goal is March, Laser Midwinters West. One thing we were working on before the race was looking out ahead of you. See how his head goes? So he looks at the other boats. Now he's looking out ahead of him for what is the wind happening right now? Is it light or windy? And how long until it's going to pick up? Looks like there's a big current line, current swirl upwind of them. Oh no, that's just off a coach boat. I thought I saw a big patch of kelp in there. Anyway, this is kind of the lightest it's been for a while. But again, here's a little range of a puff coming there that's really subtle. And, you know, so you have to be able to do that. A lot of times people get their heads down in the boat, focused on the boat, and they don't realize that they're just reaching a little, or they're not going. There are little weight differences. But you can see that he's in a battle with his hiking strap once in a while. Now he does a lot of stuff. So he just doesn't, it looked like Jose was able to hike consistently and Zach isn't. Yeah, looking ahead, obviously it's kind of tough. I can tell you I'm looking at all of this, and I don't think he has a choice. I think he just has to keep going. We're in North Mission Bay, and it's a passing front, so he has a chance of getting the angle of 22011. I would say that boat's going
with no line
faster
today,
than most boats have looked this deep.
Really
so things could be worse here.
Downwind.
Zach should dig in past him, believe it or not. He should just put his head down, change modes. Go telltale straight back, get the boat ripping, squeeze up, keep looking at the water, keep sailing the boat as fast as we can, and that's not a good sign. If that guy's coming back for more, maybe he felt like he was getting lighter wind, so Zach is just gonna get here. I think he's about as headed as he's gonna get. Oh, see, he's not a guy, he's not looking upwind. Look at that guy. Zach's about to come up. Yeah, here we go. Put it into that puff just a little too much. But he's hiking now. Yeah. All these boats look awful small to me. Good news is there's a puff coming, and he's hiking. You know, he has enough wind to hike. I think that's when he's as fast as much of the fleet. Now the question is how much do you steer the boat, and how much do you work the boat in flat water like this? I think all you're really doing is changing when you have puffs on either side of you. Like if you have a puff to leeward, you go a little more by the lead. And if you have a puff to windward, you go a little bit straighter, or maybe do one round up and then go back to by the lead. Yep, you see how the leech is flexing like that? That's the way you want it. That's a little much, maybe. But you see how it's bouncing as he goes through waves? That's like pumping the sail. See that? Little flexes. So that's what we're looking for. They're both very good sailors, so I would copy them. Here comes Zach right here again. He's always in about the 10-12 range at the windward mark, or the 12 to 14 range out of 30. So it's pretty consistent sailing. His vang looks fine. I think he has to squeeze on. If you get by the lee in this position, you're in their bad air. So you can't go by the lee in this position because the wind is coming from leeward. So he has to round up. He needs to go on the other jibe is what he needs to do, but no one else is on the other jibe. But yeah, he's in the bad air of these boats right now. So that's our biggest thing we learned so far this morning, is that is not a big sailor right there. And so she's just having to carry her telltales just a tiny bit feathering more than the others. But look at that, just stability, man. Just absolute even angle of heel. Flat water, even angle of the heel. Even as she goes into light spots. That was a little light spot. She went perfectly flat. That's all right. She's just relaxing. She's not working it too hard. And then again, we have to be, if we were sailing along right now, we would be in a puff right now, right here. Little puff, and then right out there, lighter, out there, lighter, right through there, right through. So that's the thing that you got to be doing constantly while you're speed testing. You can't, we're really trying to teach sailors not to keep their heads down in their boats, worried about the boat handling. So right now the boat handling's easy, man. The steering's hard, but the boat handling is easy. You got to lean your head out in the puffs, and you got to relax in the light spots, and rely on your speed testing that you've done for speed. You know, you got to revert back to that. Wow, Zach is crossing the middle right there on a really nice righty, so we'll see how he does. The leader of race 1 on Sunday. He does not look that much smaller than us. And they seem to have their shoulders out a little bit more. So that's probably just a little steering thing. That was excellent at maintaining momentum through the tack. Like the boat continued to move, so you continue to have flow over the centerboard and rudder. Yeah, 2 blocks, little wrinkles in the front of the main that change. As you ease the main, the wrinkles go away a little. As you trim in, they get bigger. Helps you read your main sheet tension, you know, consistent main sheet tension. I think we have less than a minute to go before race 2 on Sunday. It's windier over here right now. Light spot right in here. The thing is you've got to try to find a spot where you're next to somebody who you can outsail. You can't always choose that. I am moving quite quickly with the current. The current is actually pushing us back. And you see the line sight over there? We're over. See how the line sight person is above the pin? If we were in the middle of the line, we'd be able to know. Yeah. Oh, this is ugly right here. That's... Oh, this is...
You're going to sail course 1 again, course 1.
Looking for our boy here. Obviously we know starting is really important. Last race, not a great start, but this one better. And what we talked about in this is we're trying to, see, good lane on port. We accomplished our goal. Our goal was just to have a big lane on port tack. And now we can play the race from here. If we get a big righty, we tack underneath these guys. If we get a big lefty, we're, you know, able to read the quote. Man, that just looks really good. He's got more wind with a monster lane. So all he does now is worry about keeping a lane. If somebody starts pinching him off or whatever, I mean, somebody starts getting bow out on him, he does not want to be pinching. Anyway, it's way far away, but he is right there. And he started to cave on the boats to the right. These boats are all headed. Look at the angle of these boats. He did a good job of not panicking, tacking on that first header. He did a good job of just relaxing through the light spot header. He's kept his lane beautifully. And then as the boats from the right come, he has a choice. He either crosses them and tacks, or if they're lifted, he tacks underneath them. You don't have to cross people all the time. You can do what's called covering from behind. You tack to leeward and ahead, and you sail the same speed and angle, and you're holding your position until the wind shifts again. He's just killing it there. This is so beautiful. These boats are all the biggest header of the day for these boats. The hard part of Mission Bay is the geographics here. You know, the way you'll have, see, these guys look lifted over here, and these guys look headed over here. That's because of the geography. ILCA 4 is off the line, day 2. This is race 7 for them as well. Yesterday I kept talking on that video about how this was Luciana's first regatta, and that was all just...
Nice job, everybody. Great to have...
blabbering. This is her second regatta. Still outstanding performance, getting to race against kids that... Sabot National Champion is right in front of her. Really good kid, really good sailor. Maggie right there, from just moved to San Diego from Santa Barbara. Really good little sailor, and here we are getting a chance to cross with him. Santiago, 85. Really good sailor. Today, what we've learned for her, just like we did yesterday, is we have a little bit too much of a nose for the goal. We're going towards the mark just a little too hard. And although it's good to have a nose for the goal, we know that if you pitch up too high and you lose your speed, everybody starts sailing away. So this looks really nice here. One thing we learn in lasers is that as it gets harder and harder to play the main sheet, so as our hand hurts more, as it's harder to keep it in, as we start using 2 hands on the main sheet, that is the language that cues you up to put more vang on. So that it's like the trigger. And she just did that. She was having a hard time holding her main in that left puff that she was in. And she's net gained up here on 85. And so I saw her slide it forward, grab the vang, and pull on it. That also pulls the boom to leeward a little bit, which helps it, so it causes the mast to bend sideways, and that way the boom will stay out at the corner better with a tight traveler. All these things we're learning. These sails have come around the mark. That boat is flat out rocking way too much. That is absolute flaggage. can't rock the boat, but you gotta turn a little bit more. Like he's not going down enough on the flat. Yeah, look at that. So anyway, I could be wrong, I don't know. I got flagged a lot late. I've only been flagged twice in my life, and one of them wasn't my fault. The other one was boats rocking all around us, not even that hard, and we got flagged. Anywho, that's the problem with umpire. It depends on where you are and who's the umpire, and how much kinetics. Anywho. Where's our boy? All we need is 1/5 and a throw out, and we move up to what, to 11. Uh-oh. Race 2 on Sunday. ILCA Jr. For Southern California, I'm not a huge fan, but this weekend's making me a little bit of a believer for a lot of kids. You know, it's more about timing than the boat. I'm a big believer in Southern California, just training the radial a lot and then drop back into the ILCA 4 for regattas and do a little training in them. But you know, they're these guys, you know, if they're the right size for the kids. Anna's gonna come across here. Look at that. About the same. Coming a little too high on the wind right now. A little too high on the wind. The current is fighting them right now. Looking at the fleet downwind, it looks like they're getting moved. It looks like they're getting moved that way. That way. So when you get puffs and you can get by the lee and you can maintain speed by the lee, you do that for sure, crabbing into it. So that in light, you don't want to get way over here and get light wind. It doesn't look light wind now. But have you ever been in a regatta where the wind got light down at the bottom of the course? You don't want to be going by the lee in a drifter down there if the wind were to die. So it's better to use puffs when you get them to crowd into the current. And that's why you're seeing a lot of boats on starboard just using starboard wing on wing as the thing of choice. Wow, look at her. We're gonna see, man, she's really crowded. She's doing what I'm talking about. And look at these guys starting to, she must be doing okay because they're doing the same thing. And race 2 on Sunday, radial's coming upwind. When you're going downwind, you're trying to see if anybody's lifted. Nobody's lifted right now. Both tacks look headed. So that means the wind is going straight down the course. You see what she did? They stayed on starboard in the leaders and she got over here, jived onto port. Now she's by the lee on port. I don't, oh, a laser just flipped. A laser 4 just flipped. Today's video is probably kind of boring, but it seems to me people sailed with less twist yesterday. And then you'll see once in a while, like that guy, you'll see he's got quite a bit of twist. And maybe that's just a factor of vangs are short, and when it's light air, some people's vangs are an inch too short or something. I don't know. I don't know how much difference it really makes. In my opinion, I keep the vang kind of on the snug side or right in the middle, kind of like this. Not too much twist, not too little. That guy has more twist. It's hard to see because I'm not lined up with him. I think when you go perfectly straight mast, it causes the draft to get close to the mast. So then the leech is flatter. So I think Cunningham super loose is really important, and the vang set so that you have almost no mast bend, but probably in this wind you'd have a tiny bit of mast bend. Like, to see how she sails? Very, very, very good sailor right there. Her vang is a nug. I think I'm still looking for the leech to, that's just not legal. I think I'm still just looking for the leech to bounce a little bit. So I don't think hers would bounce, but she'd be kicking my butt right now if we were racing, so I can't. This middle part of this race, and you're starting to get closer to the gates. So what are we, 2 minutes away up here? We start to look upwind, so that means the wind is coming from the right. So our first indication of a wind shift would be, I'm probably going around the left one. Now watch his head. You're gonna start looking, he's gonna be looking behind me. Let's see if he looks upwind at all. Yeah, he's looking. You gotta look back over here. Is there any boats? That boat looks like it has plenty of pressure out there. I can't really see too much else. It looks like in 2 minutes we're gonna have a nice puff. Those guys have good breeze. So I think he's coming to this one. I think this one's better. Now again, we wanna look at the gates as a start line. So we have to guess, where would we start? I think, I don't know. I think it's pretty even. They're pretty even departing the gates. I think maybe that far one was a little more upwind, but that's one of your tests. I would be going around this one just because it's a west-northwest day. I would be looking at those flags. About a minute from the mark, I'd be looking at those flags, looking for, that looks like a slight left shift. Yeah. You start trimming slow at the beginning and then fast at the end. As you start the trim, you go slow, slow, faster, 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 faster. And usually we're in bad air, so we need to go maybe just a fraction fuller on the sail if it's really big fleet. And then plan on depowering, because there's plenty of wind coming. We're gonna have full height. Looking at the flag, looks normal direction. Listen here, look at the pin. Oh goodness, I'm not at a good angle, but I think these boats are very lifted on starboard. You see that angle coming into the finish line? That means you want to finish at that end. Where would you start? At that angle on starboard close haul, you would definitely start at the boat. So then you would finish at the other end. Race 3, it is just beautiful. They just pulled off another start. Wow. It is so hard to call a line when they're going that fast. So we got what, 12 knots, 11, 10 knots, 11 knots. It's kind of a rough regatta for some kids, and they shouldn't look at it as a rough regatta. A lot of these kids have just been sailing FJs and FJs and FJs. There's our boy. He got a better start that time. There we go.
Bert, Josh, and everybody.
Look at that.
For third race today.
Now, it's not legal for me to help somebody in the last 2 minutes, but her outhaul boat came undone with a minute and a half to go, and look at her. So she was in third place most of the last race. The improvement over the last 2 days has just been really sweet. Getting to sail against some really good little sailors, and learned a lot in the last 6 months, 5-6 months. Really good job bouncing back. Again, this time around 12. So consistently getting to the weather mark in about the same spot. So our biggest goal over the next, up to Midwinter's West is trying to always be around that number at the windward mark, because Midwinter's West will be a bigger regatta. Our goal for this would have been to round in the top 10 more at the first windward. You're just consistent right in that middle one. Did not have a good last race, and then bounced back and started well. Sometimes you have to talk to yourself and remember it is practice, and you're better off with the struggle. It's better than going out against a bunch of kids that aren't very good and feeling like you know it, you're doing really good. It's better to go against a little team. This BYC team's got their act together, so that's good for us. In the future, we're going to be way better off as a result. Okay, this is not pretty. These guys have overstood, the ILCA 4s have overstood the weather mark. I think they're going to be between a close reach and a beam reach by the time they get up here to the top. So that...
Apparently this is just the way you sail these boats
They
down.
followed each other all the way to overstanding. Yep, see how that's just down, just between a beam reach, close reach. So, learned a lot of this weekend about not following too much, because following usually is in bad air, but that's what just happens. Everybody just followed each other and they all overstood by so much. All learned. So he should not be sitting in, just hanging harder. Can go absolutely flat, neutral helm. We got to work on that sailing. Once we're in our mode, we got to neutralize the helm. See, I think he's going too high. I think he's got to go a ½ an inch lower, just that fraction lower, and load it up and just put his shoulders out a little more. I know it's flat water, but yeah, see, you just don't want to be feathering, dude. Just, if you can wiggle the lure deltail right now just a little, that looks good though. It's still, I think Owen Frontwell, the guy that won the last race, is still 1 degree lower than you. I don't know if you can tell the difference, but Owen is in full power mode, trying not to foot, but trying not to squeeze into any future header. Yeah, you can just see the difference of those top 2 boats. Owen is just a fraction pressed. Luckily, Zach is going through a current line. Oh, that's a current change. You'll see how his bow will go down right as we get it across this current line.
Just wanted to share with everybody that
did not.
the 3 o'clock time limit.
If the current was more adverse there, he would get a current header. He'd get a little bit of current wind, which would make the boat go lower. If he had current going from right to left here, it would make him, give him more wind. He'd be on the escalator to the left. Oh yeah, he's in his conditions now, so he's got to keep it on. Lasers are not pinching boats, man. They are footing boats, or right on the wind boats. No feathering, man. The only time you feather is when you know you got a big lift coming. See how the bow's gone way down now. We were going up that way, and now we're going that way. That's why we were on that. And we'll see how he comes out on Owen. Coming in on a nice starboard angle. You definitely gained. I'm looking for Owen. Because I want to see if he gained. Oh yeah, here's Owen right here. So we lost on Owen at the end. Again, I think it's because Owen just had the guts to keep the bow just pressed a fraction more leading into the righty that came in. It's very common in North Mission Bay for that to happen over here in a northwest wind like this. Today's northwest wind is created by the passing front. So yesterday we had south-southwest wind. Last night we had rain. That's kind of why the current lines are bigger today. There's more streaks from all the road grime and stuff. So we had rain last night, the front passed today. So when a front passes here, a low pressure system passes, the wind will come, most of the time will come from the northwest that next day. Gets the boat to heel to windward more. So loose main will get the boat to be more squirrely. So you want to sail the boat kind of squirrely. Race 4 on the day. They're probably going to do 2 more after this. $3,996 is a good starter. I don't know if you look, yeah, you probably haven't watched all the videos. I do the videos just because I'm bored out here. There was another start. That guy looked exactly the same. Is that the Fort Telltale moving? See, Fort Telltale can't move right now. Yeah, see, the Windward Telltale's moving too much, man. Now again, if we had a compass, we would know through history of our compass numbers if this was a lift or a head, or if it was a
Race committee come in?
if it was a, I don't know, you know, it was right at the base number, then maybe I'd be carrying my Telltale up. But if I was lifted right now, that Windward Telltale would be put to bed pretty hard, man. Got to remember, 80% of the race in wind stronger than this is fitness and hiking. Now Mission Bay's shiftier, but still, you gotta put power in the hiking strap when you're on lifts, especially. I don't know, but he looks pretty good. These guys all look headed to me. If I was him, I would tack, go a little ways, and if I'm lifted, stay. If I'm not, tack again and commit to my side. So it's simple right now. He needs to win the right, be in the top 3, top 5 coming from the right. Again, transitioning from high school sailing, from FJ sailing to lasers is a challenge. You're sailing inside a little bay with puffs and lulls and you're pinching an FJ around, and it's helpful, but it makes it harder to sail a boat that is more power based. Watch Olympic medal races and you will see those guys are in 13 knots. Their telltales are straight back. They're not feathering. 14 knots. And those are full rigs. So it's a fitness thing, obviously. He needs to go back to the freaking right. Thank you. You definitely have to learn to be patient. You don't go right halfway and then go in the middle. You go right, go back, make sure you got other things under control, and get going back right. I actually think she passed him. No, but she gained a lot. That's all right. Right under control, and if we had a compass, we would know what to do. He's probably on a base number right now, if he had one. It looks lighter. I think that was a good idea. And it's a good sign that most to leeward are tipping over. That's an indicator of a lift. So that's a good sign. Race 4, ILCA 4s. Looks like Luciana right over here, the farthest to the right there. Up the course, she's the furthest left of them. She looks like she's in this race again. So overall for her, it looks like upwind, she's hanging very well with some really experienced sailors. Downwind, I actually think today she's been maybe the fastest boat downwind. One of the 2 fastest. And it was just, she's got by the lead figured out really good. Well, not figured out, but she's doing by the lead very well and she knows what she's doing. Zach's gonna round second. He did an outstanding job of keeping the wind. There's some people over here who are really light right now. So he's gonna come around second. Third. That's Kosei. No, that's not. Not Kosei. Okay. Nice job. These guys are parked back here too. So I would stay high right now just because that is a big wall, right? So he's doing a good job here. 6526 is doing a good job because he's not rolling low in this situation. Wait a little bit. Stay in the middle maybe. He's got a little gap behind him, so pretty soon he's gonna start, go ahead, rock, roll the boat down to leeward. Cool, nice work. There you are, right there. If anything, I don't know how you did it, dude. I actually think the bright spot, kind of the rose on this weekend, is downwind has been pretty consistently good. Never really losing boats downwind. I think upwind we've run into a group of, Balboa Yacht Club especially, but a few other sailors that have been training and practicing, and so upwind we're just a little out of sync with all that's going on, but I'm happy, especially now. I don't know, man, those boats were much closer to you. You actually had people on your wind coming around the mark. So there you go. Loose out haul, boom out to 90. The boom goes out to create more, to get the boat to get a little more unstable. Race 4 on Sunday. I'm looking at the flags. I can't, if anything, they look like they're a righty looking up the course. The current's moving them left to right just a little, not really affecting anything. Yeah, so the current's going from left to right. Then as they exit the gate, if I'm back here, I'm looking at them and I'm trying to say, where would I start? I would start at that one over there, man. I'd start at that one. If that was a starting line, I would have started over there. So I would have rounded that one. Mark my word, 7163 is going to be ahead. I'm just gonna call it. I'm gonna say they're even, but I think that guy's ahead now. The guy way out there. I mean, obviously, if the wind goes left, that would be the case. But I think the other gate was better. And it just so happens the wind is to the right. The flags don't look right to me, but my God, that guy's going. Look at these guys are coming at me on starboard. Obviously, they're in more bad air. But that guy, look at that, just got dialed into a big right. A lot of these sailors don't race inside bays like this very often, things like that. And so they're sailing a little more, changing modes, up a little if they're going to get lifted, down a little if they're going to get headed, keeping it quite steady. Owen lost early at the bottom of the leg on the rounding the other gate. It was an early right. And what did he do? He just tacked and played the left, stayed to his side, and he just gained out even more. Race 4, he comes around the left gate this time. I can't tell. I mean, I think he looks lifted. I almost think the other gate's further upwind, but I like the early right down here. So Zach's done well. He rounded 6th. He's gonna round 5th, I think. And definitely gained close to 4th, so I think he did quite well. Sometimes it's just angles, but God, I think that this is a left shift. And so I think the right gate is better. Man, less than a minute to go. Race 5 on the day. Must be race 9 or 10. 10 for the regatta. I can't even remember how many we did yesterday. Current is going from our left to right, so that's only affecting, it's probably going to push somebody into the pin a little, and it'll open up the boat. Open up the boat end a little. And you have to see this coming. It's going to be right at the start. People are going to be, not right at the start. I'd say 15, 20 seconds after the start, they're going to be going through the chop. They'll have to be ready for it. Oh my goodness, Zach, ride of 5 boats from the committee boat end. He's had 2. He had a really bad second race today, and then he's had 3 in a row that have been pretty darn good. Nice. We're just asking, you know, we gotta talk to ourselves and pretend that we're at a big regatta and we know what our limitations are. We haven't been sailing the laser a ton, and but we have to go out there with the right attitude, like we're, you know, this is practice and we're at a real regatta and we're gonna have our best races at the end, whether we do or not. Pretty good fleet. I'm really encouraged. Really, really, really encouraged by the Southern California little laser fleet. That's the move right there. Our goal, again, he's done it 2 of the last 3 races, is a lane on port tack. That's okay, a little duck and he's gonna have a big lane. That's what you need. Sometimes people panic tack early and they have somebody on their lee bow. Now, he's on his way. He needs to put the bow down and not squeeze. That is one of the biggest. This is definitely, I don't know, there's a lot of video, but this is 8 degrees further left than it was the last race on the first beat. So you have to rely on that, and you got to go full speed ahead, man. See how the guy to leeward him is going lower? That guy's going lower, so you're not going to foot, but you're not going to pinch into a header. That's him right there. See how his bow's starting to get pushed down now? He's going to slowly start eking out on these guys. Unfortunately, these boats to the left haven't come down yet, so I still am a believer that he's going to get knocked there. He's done a good job of not pinching. He's going to get knocked there. He's going to come out okay. That's another thing that we learned this weekend, is we got into the point today where we could lean on the hiking straps a little and get some extra power in the boat instead of feathering like an F-jig. Everybody's going to get to the buoy, almost everybody at the same time. Zach's going to round in the top 10 for sure. Again. Yeah, pretty strong fleet. I mean, they're not really long beats, but still, everybody getting there at the same time. There's Zach in 2, 4, 6, 7. We'll see how he does down. Current. Nice. Really good upwind. She has a knack for downwind. She's got her plan. Obviously we could have sail set up a little better, but it's almost better just to set the boat up for upwind, because downwind she's not slow, so she's been working on by the lee a lot this weekend. I think she's been copying the radial fleet on kind of steering the boat around a little and not just going dead straight like yesterday. There's times to go dead straight, but rarely dead downwind. But yeah, she's experimenting. She's got a knack. Definitely gaining right now. Again, those boats to her right get in her bad air as they go by the lee. It's something that you learn in lasers. So he's right there. So It's not a weight game. Sailing is a game where when you have weaknesses or things that aren't quite lined up, you need to work on those, especially. At 158 pounds in Southern California, that is a challenge. So at big regattas, some of your performance is based on where the event is, and are you in light air or windy or what? So 158 pounds racing in a fleet of 130 to 145 pounders is going to be a challenge. That just means you got to practice hard in light air. Hard, hard, hard. This is a righty. You did a good job. I think you were in third in this race right here. Yeah, wonderful. So now that we've got more breeze, it's just easier now. We still have to work on medium and heavy air, but we got to work really hard on light air for our Southern California regattas. A minute to go for the ILCA 4s, and this is too late. You can't come in so late. In a small fleet, this works as long as you're kind of going full speed right now. You should just be reaching for the middle of the line, just absolute crazy full speed. Never mind, you just gotta go. Small fleets, you can come in late, but in bigger fleets in your future, you'll need to come in much earlier. Set up much earlier, probably likely at least a minute, because then you have time to reset up if something starts to go wrong. At least a minute, maybe even a minute 20 in a normal fleet. Here he is in about 8, gaining downwind, then a really big positive. That start was a tight start. He got a good lane on port, and he played the upper end of the course a little better. Part of it is trying to watch what's developing as you're going up to the course. So being able to move your head around and look without altering your steering or hurting your steering, looking at the boats up on your hip behind you and things, and trying to see what's developing. Are we feeding into a big lift, and do we need to kind of try to find a little header and go over there? Or, you know, are the boats to leeward getting headed, and am I gaining on the boats behind on my hip? Gotta keep track of them. And that comes through speed testing. A lot of speed testing, getting to the point where the boat sails itself as much as possible so that you don't have to be constantly working the boat. Okay, so everybody is on starboard, so that must mean, it usually means it's a little bit of a righty because they're by the lee. The flags are not showing a righty. The flags are showing this direction. Let's see, this guy goes around. He looks slightly lifted, but not incredibly lifted. Other guy goes around. I think that guy's more parallel to the gates. I think the far gate is the one you'd go to. If that was a starting line, I would have started at the far end there. And they're so close together, it doesn't really matter. When you get in bigger fleets and they're 2 times further apart than that, then it makes a difference. Where's our boy here? Oh, here he is. Nice. 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 Yeah. Nice. Really nice. I still think if this was a starting line, man, I'd be at this end. So I think these guys have all gotten moved upwind a fraction. I think I'm going to cut videos. Just a lot to learn. Always a lot to work on. Work on light air.